podcast is a production of Widener Law Commonwealth in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. For more information, visit commonwealthlaw.widener.edu/podcast. Now here's your host, Julie Sheldon.
Welcome to Widener Law Commonwealth podcast. Today we're here with Eden Mandrell. She is the Director of Career Development Office here at Widener. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. We're going to talk a little bit about networking and professionalism and the importance of that to our students and alumni. So let's jump right in. And how important is networking while a student is in law school?
It's extremely important. We have students who are just starting to learn how to network, and I tell them that every person that you meet should be somebody that you add to your network. They are essential for finding employment after you graduate from law school, and actually while you're in law school as well. In fact, I was meeting with a student yesterday who was telling me that he actually has a position lined up for after graduation, and he told me how he got it, and it was basically through his personal network. He understood the value of making sure that people that you meet throughout your life know that you're in law school and know that you are looking for employment for after graduation. Everybody that you meet should be somebody that you consider as part of your network. And it's one of the reasons why sites like LinkedIn is so important, because you never know who somebody that you know knows. And if that person, everybody that you meet in your life has a lot of other connections, and that network is something that you can tap into at some point in your life, whether it be for a job or whether it be for a potential client or whether it is somebody who is a potential resource for you when you are practicing. So the networking aspect of the networking toolbox is really important through all stages of your career.
And how do you begin to build that toolbox for students? I would imagine that, even when they come across somebody who maybe is not directly a lawyer or practicing, maybe somebody knows of somebody, or I guess I would assume everybody that you come across could potentially be added to your network.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things that people are sometimes uncomfortable with is asking for referrals. And I think that, we don't often like to ask for help. And I think if you are able to develop your network in a way, you are not always the one who's directly asking for help. So to get back to your question, I think, it's important to have people in your network who aren't attorneys, because everybody in our life knows an attorney. Mm-hmm. And whether it is they have a former colleague or a friend of a friend who's a lawyer, it's important just to let people know what you are doing with your life, whether, you've been in another profession before, whether you are going directly from college to law school. Everybody knows a lawyer. And so to the extent people in your network are aware of the fact that you are in law school is so essential, because then they can say, if they're out and about with, even socially, with a friend who's a lawyer, and they say, oh, gosh, I'm so swamped, I'm looking for somebody to help me out this summer, mm-hmm. They can say, oh my gosh, ding, 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 this person is in law school, mm-hmm. and they may be looking for a job. Why don't I put the two of you in touch? And that way, even if you as the student aren't looking, you have friends who may be looking in law school, and those are the ways that connections are made in this world.
Mm-hmm. And lasting relationships, I would assume, as well. What you could meet somebody early on, and then, maybe later that connection would serve you as well. So do you encourage students to really continue those networking relationships and foster those relationships?
Absolutely. With the advent of email, in the advent of, social media and things like that, it's so easy to network today. I mean, it's so much easier to network today than it used to be, where you'd have to pick up the phone and make a phone call. Today, sending an email is very quick. It's very easy to attach your resume. It's very easy to attach, an article on which you were published, something like that. Networking it makes it very easy to continue to maintain your network, and to continually check in with people with whom you've met along the way.
And are there specific skills of networking that you encourage in students? Is there kind of a checklist that you may run them through and say, these are 5 good tips to help you have a successful network or help you to build a successful relationship with somebody in the industry?
That's a really interesting question. And actually, I don't know that I have 5 specific tools that I run students through. I've been meeting with students on a one-on-one basis, and I talk to them about where they're from and what resources they have available to them and what their networking has looked like to date. And I make suggestions to them. Mm-hmm. But I always say, if you can, on a one-on-one basis, either develop a mentor-mentee relationship with somebody in the legal community, whether it's through the Career Development Office's assistance. We can help set up those relationships, but also I think the PBA has a really strong mentor program. Mm-hmm. And students should feel free to take advantage of that. They should make sure that their mentor knows that where they are at every stage throughout their legal career. And certainly I think one of the things that we need to be good at is asking for assistance and just communicating with our mentors. I think that students should attend Dauphin County Bar Association events or other county bar association events in the area where they're moving. I think that those reach outs should occur regularly. I think that certainly making sure that people with whom they've worked in the past know where they are in their career. I think that even within the school, attending different organizations' events, because the people who you go to school with are going to be your contemporaries as you graduate and pass the bar and become professionals. They're going to be people who you want to have forged relationships with because they're going to be the ones who you reach out to for potential jobs. They're going to be the ones who you reach out for potential referrals. If you, in practice, come across, have the opportunity to represent a client and you are not comfortable representing that client with that particular legal need, you need to have a strong network as you are practicing because you can refer those people out to your contemporaries. I think that, if you look at every part of your life as an opportunity to meet someone and an opportunity to be able to not just help you, but if you are able to facilitate connections along the way in a way that benefits those people in your network, they're going to come back and look to you as, this person helped me. I wonder how I can help them. Yeah. I mean, I look at my life and I look at the different parts of my life and I try to sort of catalog people in my life, where they work, what activities they're interested in, how to connect them with other people. One of my neighbors calls me the mayor of the town in which I live because I like to know people and I like to know a little bit about them and I like to be able to introduce them and be helpful to them because you never know. What goes around comes around. You never know where that network will lead you. Right.
And what type of networking events are available on campus and potentially off? I know you mentioned the PBA. Is there, if I remember correctly, there's either a discounted rate or law students have a free membership that they're able to take advantage of with the PBA while they're in law school?
Yeah, that's my understanding is the PBA offers a free membership to Widener Law students and every other law school student, and you are allowed to join one section for free. Okay. I'll have to go back and double check that, but I'm pretty sure that that's what is available to the students. The Dauphin County Bar Association also has a lot of great events. If you have not already gotten on their email list, you should do so immediately. They do have a lot of great networking events. They have a lot of great ongoing legal education kind of seminars. So definitely get hooked into those various bar associations. And if it's not, like I said, if it's not Dauphin County, it's certainly every community has a bar association. I've been in touch with a lot of the executive directors, and they are very welcoming to our students.
Wonderful. And we have a fair amount of networking events on campus for our students as well, correct?
That's correct. We have all the student organizations are constantly having get-togethers and other types of events. Professional Development Day will be October 23rd this year, and we will be having a session on how to network, and we'll have several practitioners in the area, some of whom are Widener alums, come and talk about how they network. The Inn of Court, we will have a couple of representatives from those, and they'll be able to talk to the students about what it is that they do and how students can benefit from being a member of the Inn of Court.
Okay. Now, I'm going to kind of roll into some questions about professionalism because I feel like networking and professionalism kind of go a little bit hand in hand. What does professionalism look like in your opinion? How would you define that for our students?
So if we're talking about students, professionalism is the way in which you carry yourself. It's the way in which you interact with your classmates and the faculty and the staff here at school. And it's the way in which you hold yourself out to the community, be it the regular community or be it the legal community. I think when you get to law school, you need to start holding yourself to the standard of being an attorney in the legal community. Whether that means that you need to dress in a way that is representative of you as a professional, or whether that is the way in which you interact with people. And, I think the golden rule still holds, and it should hold across your professional career as well. I think, in the way in which we write, the way in which we speak, the way in which we present ourselves is a start is professionalism as a whole. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
It does, very much, yeah.
But yeah, it starts right. It starts from day one.
Okay. And can the CDO help? Can your office help develop professionalism in a student? Can you give them these tips? Can you have little sessions with them that would help them develop this?
Absolutely. We have been doing a lot of interview prep. So when students have interviews, we ask them to come in and we talk to them about the way in which they should present themselves and the types of questions that are appropriate for them to ask. We also are doing a lot of resume review and revising. And in the resume review, we talk about the types of things that you want on your resume. And I know that we'll be talking about that in another podcast. But there's certain things that should be on your resume and certain things that should absolutely not be on your resume. And we can talk about that further later on, but your paper is a synopsis of who you are and what you've done. And I always tell the students when I meet with them that there's a lot of law students out there, and there's a lot of really strong law students out there, and our employers have the opportunity to hire students, and many of them may look the same credential-wise, but what sets them apart is who they are as a person. And so if you are somebody who has some interesting activities or interesting hobbies, they can be put on your resume within certain limits. And so you need to be likable and you need to be interesting, and that will set you apart as a person because, and I tell students this, don't be offended when I tell you that you need to be different than the next person because you need to set yourself apart because they're going to need to like you in order to want to hire you.
Absolutely. And why is professionalism so important in the legal industry? Or I guess it would be in any industry.
Well, the practice of law is a very, very old and time-honored profession.
Yes.
And there are certain standards. I mean, if you look over in Europe, lawyers wear wigs and they wear robes. And in the States, it's a little bit different. But, we wear suits and we hold...
Still steeped in tradition.
It's very steeped in tradition. And lawyers like to hold themselves separate and apart from other professions in their... that is, like I said, a time-honored profession. And so we, as lawyers, we don't need to stifle our persona 100%. We can still come through. We can still let our personality shine through. But there is, when you go to court or when you represent your clients, it's all about representing your clients, and you don't want to be a distraction. So as a professional, you need to dress in a way that what you are wearing is not a distraction. Unfortunately, there are some of the older members of the bar who still expect certain attire when you go to court or when you show up to do a deal. And I think that that's relaxing a little bit, but I can tell you that, if you show up in court and you're wearing a crazy colored suit or a crazy tie, or, your hair is not maintained in a professional way, you're doing your client a disservice, because you are you are taking away from the message that you are trying to convey with just your appearance. So it really is important to show up, be clean cut, be well put together, be presentable, and be able to have the representation of your client be the thing that shines through the most.
Okay. Well, at the end of each session of the podcast, I gave you a little bit of a fair warning that I like to have a fun question. So my question for you is, what is your favorite podcast? We talked a little bit earlier, and everybody's looking for recommendations for good podcasts. So what are your top recommendations?
Well, I'm a little bit of a true crime buff.
Okay.
And my husband actually got me hooked on My Favorite Murder years ago. And My Favorite Murder is sort of these two women comedian who talk about different crimes that have happened throughout the years. I mean, it could be historical, it could be current.
Okay.
And they do it in a way that is not offensive, or they do it in a way that dignifies the victims, but they do it in a funny way. So it's gotten very popular over the years. So I would say My Favorite Murder is one. I also liked Dirty John, which was a podcast that I think was maybe about 15 episodes that told the story, a true crime story. We like the serial episodes. Those are always really good. I think a new one's coming out, and we've got a long car ride ahead of us coming up. And
so it's all downloaded and ready to go.
Yeah, it's all downloaded and ready to go. And I have a couple of political podcasts that I listen to as well. So.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And we will, as Eden mentioned, we will have a couple additional podcasts coming up that deal with resume building and also the topic of internships and externships. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks for having me.
Widener University Commonwealth Law School is the Pennsylvania capital's only law school, with 3 specialized centers of legal scholarship through its Law and Government Institute, Environmental Law and Sustainability Center, and Business Advising Program. Widener Law Commonwealth offers an exceptional learning experience that is personal, practical, and professional. Visit commonwealthlaw.widener.edu for more information.